story is about Marlin, who is 150 years old, and he and Viktor are colleagues, I guess, friends to some extent. They grew up together, but now they live in a mansion that is in the middle of a war-torn country someplace. So it's not very clear in the story what time period it is, when this actually occurs, where it actually occurs, but there's a war going on in this nation state where they are. And Viktor is much more interested in trying to win the war, and Marlin is more interested in trying to get in touch with his inner childhood. And so Viktor goes out into the country and recruits children and brings them into the mansion and tries to train them to be soldiers, while Marlin interacts with the children to try to jog these memories of his childhood that he forgets, because apparently he was brought up in a military family and had some trauma in his childhood, and he just has no memory at all of his childhood. So that's really his quest, is to try to get in touch with his childhood and try to remember what it was like. Viktor is more interested in winning the war, but Viktor is very interested along the way in achieving some fame and glory for himself. So Viktor sees himself as a soldier. Viktor sees himself as a potential war hero, and so that's really what Viktor is in this for. And Marlin's whole quest to get in touch with his childhood is just something that gets in the way of what Viktor is trying to accomplish. But there's also hints in the script and hints in the story that Viktor didn't have a very pleasant childhood either, and there's a soft spot in Viktor for the kids that he tries to conceal. And Viktor is not a one-dimensional character at all. So there's really a part of him that identifies with these children, and really, these children are really the childhood that Viktor had, which wasn't a very happy childhood. Marlin had Marlin had a very happy childhood, but something traumatic happened to erase those childhood memories. Viktor's childhood was much more like the kids in the film, where he had a hard childhood. He was trying to support his family from a very young age. So he, in a sense, didn't have a childhood. So he really relates more to the kids than Marlin does, but he tries not to show that vulnerability, and I think that's very interesting. Yeah, one of the main challenges was trying to stay warm on set. This was shot in February in a mansion out in Crystal Lake that is basically a deserted mansion. It's from the 1830s or something like that. So it's not well heated, and it was just freezing all day long, every day. It was just cold in this mansion, and so that was really one of the challenges on set, was just trying to stay warm. But no, I mean, more than that, the role was very challenging. There was a lot of not only was it just emotionally challenging, but the circumstances were challenging. There was a lot of makeup, which is one of the really great things about this movie, is just visually, the makeup and the wardrobe and the set design and the art design were just absolutely fantastic. So you had a lot to work with, which was great, but there was a lot of challenges in that too. So. Luckily, we had a new nose every day, but for about 3 hours every morning, he would take this rubber. I don't know what the heck this thing was made out of, but he would put it on my face and basically glue it to my face, and then do all the other makeup. But it being so cold out there all day long, my nose was running, and then you get under the lights and you start sweating, and so by the end of the day, this nose was just the nastiest thing you've ever seen. So he'd rip it off my face at the end of the day, and then I'd show back up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day to put on a new one. So this went on for like 5 days, and that was enough of that. Then at one point he was just doing a profile shot, and the light was actually shining through my nose, so he had to send me back to makeup. He's like, we can see through this thing, so he had to fix that somehow. Yeah, working with the other actors was great. Yeah, we all did a lot of rehearsing, so Matt really likes is a director that really likes to rehearse, and it was, there's not really a ton of lines in this movie. It's a very visual movie, so I was kind of wondering why the hell we keep rehearsing this, but it really paid off, and we did a lot of improvising. So even though there's not a lot of lines in the film, Matt would get us together, and he would just give us different objectives and say, just play around with this. And a couple times he would tell Jackie, just try to irritate Viktor, just try to make him mad, and she was able to do that a few times. But it was, so we really developed a chemistry and a working knowledge of each other, and a feel for how our characters would interact in different situations, and so that really helped a lot. So then when we got up on set and we were actually saying the lines, there was a lot more behind it, a lot more of almost a relationship that had developed between these characters over the course of rehearsals. And I mean, they're all those actors are great. I mean, Jim is a great to work with. He does a lot of theater. He's a great actor. Jackie's just a lot of fun. She's just, I couldn't keep up with her. I mean, she'd be on set and they'd yell cut, and then she'd just go run down the hall and try to find me and try to go play a game. And I mean, these were like 12 or 15 hours a day. Like, Jackie, I got to pace myself. Otherwise, I can't do this all day long. But she's just a blast. And the twins are great too. Sean and John and Sean, they're a riot. So it was fun. And the crew was great. It was a little bit tense on set a couple times. I mean, we were trying to do so much in so little time that, and I think we got behind right away, which just about every shoot always does. But, by the end of the first day, into the second day, everybody started realizing, how in the world are we really going to finish this? Because we only had, and it was a huge crew. I mean, it was, I don't know how many people were actually on set, maybe 50 or something like that, with another 50 that were working ended up working in post-production and all the supporting roles. But there was we had a very limited time to get everything done, and we fell behind immediately. So it was a little tense, but everybody just really pulled it together, and we said we just have to finish this thing and do it. And so it was a great sense of teamwork among everybody. And so even though the conditions were not ideal, Matt's mom would bring in Polish food every day, and we just ate well and just had a great time. Matt is great. Matt is a blast to work with. I love working with Matt. He really likes working with the actors, and he spends a lot of time with the actors. He spends a lot of time on backstory. That's one of Matt's real strong points, I think, is he really tries to develop the individual characters and the relationship between the characters. And so by the time you actually get on set with Matt, you know what you're doing. I mean, there's no, okay, what are we doing here exactly? It's all worked out beforehand. So Matt loves to rehearse with the actors, and he loves to spend as much time as you want to spend, and even more. So Matt's just a blast to work with. And I don't know how the guy doesn't get stressed out of his mind. I mean, I was sitting there the second or third day on the set. I was stressed. I'm like, how are we ever going to finish this thing? And you've got all these people running around. Matt's just so cool under pressure. I mean, he just totally had control over the whole situation, and we got it done. So some of the most memorable moments. I love that old car that I drove. That was just neat. I forget what it was. It was something from the 20s or 30s, but they pulled this thing up and said, okay, this is the car you're going to drive. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. And, it's one of these things that has the gear shift in a very strange spot. And even though I know how to drive stick, it was just this funky thing. And so, I mean, that was really cool. I also remember, though, just how unbelievably cold it was. There was one shot at the end of the film where all the kids run out into the snow, and I remember when they were getting all the kids ready to shoot that. I usually like watching them shoot scenes that I'm not in. I just enjoy watching it. It was so cold. There's no way. I'm like, I'm not going out there. It's one of those days where you walk out and in 5 seconds you're way too cold. You got to run back in. So as Matt said, the kids were out there like crying and screaming because it was so cold. I was like, oh boy. But it was there was a lot of just really fun moments in the film, and working with the makeup guy was just great. We had a blast, and we spent so much time together. If you have time, I have orange eyes in the film, and it comes from these contact lenses that Matt bought, and it's soft contact lenses, and I don't wear a soft contact lens, so I have no idea how to put these things in and out. So every day the makeup guy would actually have to put my contacts in. So it would, and it took about, he didn't really know how to do it either. So we finally got it down to about 15 minutes, but it started out as this half-hour ordeal every day, him trying to stick these contacts in my eyes. And finally we got it down, but every day I would tell Matt, because I don't want to walk around with, because you can't see, they're just cosmetic. So I wouldn't want to put them in until I was ready to shoot. So I'd tell Matt every day, Matt, just give us 20 minutes before you need me, and we'll put the contacts in. But that would never happen. Matt would be like, all right, Chad, we need you. Ready? You got the contacts in? No, Matt, I'm going to have them in 20 minutes, though. So makeup guy and I would run off and stick the contacts in. So it was an intimate experience putting the contacts in and out with him. So.